Can you really believe this? This is the penultimate day. It's day 29 of 30 days of Photoshop with me, Kevin Aronson from Hampshire School of Photography. 30 days, one more to go. Today is the penultimate. And it's not the sexiest of subjects, but I believe the history panel is possibly one of the most useful tools in Photoshop. It will help your workflow and help you maintain your sanity. Check it out. Here's a picture of a squirrel, a red squirrel, which I shot through the window of a cottage I was staying in Scotland some years ago. The window wasn't particularly clean, so the image isn't as crisp as I would have liked it. But, you know, if a squirrel's hanging on a nut basket outside your window, you grab a camera and ask questions afterwards. So I thought this would be a good picture to work on to demonstrate the history panel. For most of us, if we were to work on an image like this, and let me do a couple of things to it. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is try and improve the contrast. Let's create a new layer, a duplicate layer. In fact, I'll do two duplicate layers, and I'm going to combine these or blend them using overlay, which is maximum contrast, and then maybe I'm going to just adjust the contrast, take it right off, and then just dial it up to somewhere where I think, yeah, that looks better. Okay, and then I'll do a composite layer, which Photoshop calls a stamp layer, by the way. You see the word stamp there. I think a composite layer is a better description, so I'll continue to use composite layer. You can call it what you like, it really doesn't matter. And let's make some more changes. Let's get rid of some of the detritus, some of the food that he's eating. So we've got these little bits around here. We'll just get rid of those. I'm not doing a brilliantly sophisticated job here. This is just to demonstrate a principle. Can we even get rid of that? That looks dreadful. Let's use the patch tool. I was just being lazy there. So I'll just draw around that. Boom. And that'll do nicely. So now if we got to this stage and we thought, actually let's do one more silly thing. Let's do a silly thing. Let's do a smudge. Let's say we accidentally made a change to the eyes and we didn't like those changes. So what we would normally do would be, on a Mac you'd press Command Z, on a PC you press Control Z, and that's undo. And if I do that, watch what happens up here as well as what happens here. So here, when I press Command Z or Control Z on PC, boom, it goes up one and it undoes the last thing I did. This history panel records every stroke I make, and I can go back and delete strokes and make changes. I can go back in time right from when I first started to where I am now. So for instance, if I went to blending, change, see, I can go back to that point in time and I can just go through all the steps one by one. I'm actually getting rid of all the bits now, all the detritus, all the food crumbs. And there we go, boom, right up to where I am now. So I can go back and retrace my steps. I can go back forwards in time. Really excellent. And you can't do that with undo. You can go back a number of times. Usually, I believe it's 50 times you can go back. And after that, you can't go any further. You can change that 50 in the Preferences menu, Preferences and Performance. And here you get an option to Performance to change that 50 to anything you like. If you whack it up way past 50, you start increasing the use of the computer's memory as something called a scratch disk, and that can slow the computer down depending on how good your computer is. So I'm going to keep it around about 50. I'm not that bothered. Maybe 60. Okay. So let's say we work so far on this image and we really like it, and now we want to try some different options. Right down the bottom of the screen down here is an icon in the shape of a camera. It's a camera because you're going to create a snapshot of where you are in time, and as soon as I click on it, that snapshot is now up here. So that's our first snapshot, and it's labelled it snapshot 1. Okay. Let's assume now that I continue this the working on this image to try and improve it. So I think at this stage now I'm going to make a duplicate, and I'm going to, from the filter menu, bring up the high pass filter. I'm going to add a black mask, and let's zoom in a little bit. I'm going to paint over him with a brush. That would help. I didn't have brush selected. I'm going to paint over him to increase the level of detail. This brings out detail. There he is. Lots of really good detail on his fur, especially over the eye, and maybe over some of these nuts and his paw, and that paw there. And that's all I'm going to do. Zoom back out. So now I've introduced a bit more detail. If I make a snapshot there, so I can say at this point with detail added, I can flick between the two. That was before the detail was added. If I zoom in a bit, and this was after the detail was added. Okay. We'll continue working. Let's introduce a little bit of sunlight behind him. So with that, I'm going to create a transparent layer with nothing on it. I'm painting with a white brush, 100% opacity, and I'm just there going to paint a sun. There we go, that's a sun. I'm going to blur it using Gaussian blur. That's good enough. Okay, and then use Command T, the transform tool, to resize it and also to move it around. And now it looks like the sun's coming through the trees, which is rather cool. I may decide, actually, I really like the option of not pursuing further with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a snapshot of that and call it sun. So now I have the option of working on the image with the sun in, or the image without the sun in. I've got the two options. Let's say, okay, I quite like the sun, don't want to take it any further, I'll continue with the image without the sun. And now maybe I want to go black and white. So let's go black and white. So I go for the black and white adjustment layer. There it is. And I'm going to push up the background colours, which are the blues, the greens and the yellows. And we'll just slightly give a hint of brighter colour, brighter tone to his red fur. Okay, that's rather cool, rather like that. Yeah, that'll do. Okay, and we'll save that, and we'll save that as very simply black and white. Now, actually, do you know what? I'm going to go back to the one with the sun in. I quite like that one, so I'll go back to the one with the sun in, and we'll continue working with that one. So now we're going to add a couple of LUT files. So a couple of those. We'll make the first one that one, 2-strip, and see it's taken out most of the colours, so I'm going to just turn that down a bit, take it off completely, and then just dial in the amount I need, maybe to there. And then the other one, I'm going to go scary blue. Where are we? Horror blue, there we go. Which should go absolutely nuts until I tone it down. So take it off and then bring it back in. And we've got a very kind of teal and orange look, which is very, very popular in movies at the moment. Okay, so we're happy with that. I'll make a composite layer of that. And actually, I'm going to save that as... So I'm going to call this teal and orange. So look, I've got all these snapshots, and I can go back to any of them and pursue where I want to from any of those as starting points. I don't have to lose anything. The history panel and the snapshot tool, incredibly helpful, and especially as you're learning and practicing, you want to try lots of things. Well, this way you can save all the different things you tried out and don't have to lose any. The history tool, I've usually got it out the whole time. I've got my layers out always. Let's get rid of the adjustments. Layers out down there, history to the left of it, and when I'm working I can instantly see how I'm progressing with the layers, and if I need to go back in time to anything or make a snapshot, it's there for me. Enjoy. So at this point you probably need to check out phototeacher.blog, where we run all 30 days of Photoshop. All 30 days are on there, available to anybody completely free of charge. On the other hand, if you're looking for a proper workshop in a classroom with a teacher, me, then we have a training centre in Fleet, which is in North Hampshire. And there we run workshops not just on Photoshop but also Lightroom. And of course we've got a full range of photography workshops. Now, there are workshops there designed for complete beginners through to those who want to go professional, everything in between. Some of them run for a day, some for over a number of days, and there are a couple of workshops or courses that run over the course of a year for those who have the time and the inclination to take it a bit more seriously. So for that you need our main website, which is gohsp.com. gohsp.com. HSP is Hampshire School of Photography. Thanks so much for watching today. Hope we see you back again tomorrow.